The Benjamin Dixon Show is only possible with listener support. Go to www.patreon.com/The BPD Show.
We'll talk about something specific that is political, that does deal with our current politics of the day, has everything to, everything is political. Let's start there. Everything is political. Nothing in life is not political. From something as mundane as the distance between the dashes on the road, the yellow dashes or the white dashes, depending on where you're driving, from something as mundane to that, all the way to your ability to choose to do what women choose to do with their body. Everything is political. And so from that aspect, no matter what I talk about on this show, there's always going to be a political component. And the truth is that the reason I talk about it is that I feel like our politics are very constraining and myopic. What I'm going to talk about will help people to understand better why the ruling elite in this country have been able to get away with so much for so long. Not just this country, but across the planet. It's something interesting about history. It's a succession of ambitious and violent men seeking power, sometimes glory, but always power. And that power has always come at the expense of the masses. And so what we have throughout history is a pyramid scheme, an economic and political power pyramid scheme, where the masses are at the bottom of the hierarchy, and at the top you have the ambitious, violent men, overwhelmingly, predominantly men, very few exceptions, notable exceptions. What we've told ourselves about this history is that hierarchy of rulers, conquerors, kings, the nobility, the robber barons, the capitalists, the tech CEOs, what we've told ourselves about this hierarchy through history is that those people are special. We're consistently told the theme that the reason those people are at the top is because they're special. They had a certain trait about them. They took risks. They worked hard, violent in their own way. The violence is merely different now. They don't have to use their swords. They don't have to use their AK-47s anymore. Now, America does in general. We still control and dominate the global stage as an empire, but I'm talking about individuals. I'm not really talking about states and countries so much as individuals. The way individuals dominate society with their violence as it is today is through economic power. But still, regardless of how they conquered, regardless of their conquests, throughout history, it's the consistent narrative of these people are victorious because there was something special about them. They took some risk. They were born into some noble line. They were whatever. And consistently throughout history, you see the hierarchy, the pyramid scheme of how we organize society, where the uber elite, the wealthiest, the richest, they are at the top of society. And that position in society is only sustained by the base of the triangle, the base of the pyramid, right? Which is all of us, you and me. The reality of it is that there's not a damn thing special about any person in history that isn't special about all of us. I don't believe that anyone is inherently more special than the next person. The pyramid scheme has us thinking that the way things work in society and the way things should work in society and the way society should be built and structured and maintained is by the unwashed masses doing all of the necessary work to create the society and sustain the society for each upper echelon, ultimately leading to the ruling elite at the very top of that hierarchy. That's the way it's been organized. I mean, just take a gander through history. It literally is a succession of strong men. Then we have the Enlightenment, and we had the French Revolution, and we had or vice versa, the American Revolution, French, and we have a shift to where now it becomes more centered around the idea of democracy. But even the ambitious, violent men found a way to work and circumvent democracy by buying democracy through our politicians. And now we still have a society that's organized like a pyramid scheme. The same fictitious narrative persists to this day, that Mark Zuckerberg is where he is because he did something special, or there was something uniquely special about him that no one else could do. And if it wasn't for Mark Zuckerberg being a risk taker, then we wouldn't have this tech giant called Facebook, that happens to only sustain itself by you and I giving them our data on a constant basis and participating on those platforms on a constant basis. But no, Mark Zuckerberg, he's a special person. And because he's special, he deserves billions of dollars that he earns off of our participation on his website. The inevitable turn of events that happens when society is ordered that way, it always ends in violence. It always ends in revolution. It always ends with some destabilizing moment in history to a greater or lesser extent. Some puts us in a period of dark ages. And that's because we never learned a lesson. Society is still testing the same lesson over and over, failing the same test over and over and over again. Over and over and over again. And we're just trying it in different iterations, trying to see if we can consistently get away with organizing society where the elite are at the top and everyone else at the bottom, who literally are you don't have a pyramid without the base. You simply do not have a pyramid without the base. So it's completely impossible for the elite, rhetorically, logically, and practically, rather literally, it is completely impossible for an elite to exist. It is completely impossible for elite to exist without the base. And what always happens throughout history, you can take every single empire, every single kingdom, every single period in history. You have a ruling elite that eventually and inevitably abuses their power, abuses their authority, and ultimately abuses the bottom of their society, the base, and it inevitably leads to what's happening today is far more insidious than just the outright open abuses. What happens today is that the ruling elite actually did learn a lesson. They didn't learn the lesson that they needed to learn. A lesson that they learned was that they have to be far more sophisticated in how they get us to comply, how they get us to go along with it, how they get us to maintain this system. And I think the way that they maintain their order today is far more difficult to even realize than before. And this is why we've had such a sustained period in terms of quote unquote peace. Or when I'm defining peace as no outright revolution against the system. The way they keep us maintained today is because of what we're doing now. Entertainment, social media. More insidious than that, it's not just the entertainment and social media in and of itself, but it's the fact that our entertainment and social media is used to sell us the visions and the idea that one day we will be elite, that we will be rich, that we will be famous. And so long as we can hold on to the dream of that one day we will be the person that is at the top of that pyramid. And that's why it's a scheme, a pyramid scheme, because all they're selling us is the idea that one day we will rise to the top of that pyramid, when in reality, you're not. I'm not. We're not. Because what they tell you is that America and our system is a meritocracy, and the way Mark Zuckerberg and Jeff Bezos got there was through hard work and determination. They took two wooden nickels and they rubbed it together, and voila. And if they did it, you should be able to do it too. They didn't tell you about the fact that they all had startup capital, that Jeff Bezos' parents gave him a loan of a check of $300,000 to start Amazon. Right? So they give us these apocryphal stories, and they leave out the most important information, which was these individuals who did these great things. One, they had capital to start with. All right. Two, they had their basic needs already met. So they didn't have to worry about paying their rent, and created this Amazon, this monstrosity called Amazon. Not only did he have his basic needs met, but he had capital so that all he had to do was sit back and create. But they've got you convinced that what really happened was that he was such a hard worker. He worked 9 to 5 at a regular job, making $15 an hour. And at night he went home and started Amazon in his garage. No, he was already wealthy. He already had his basic needs met. In addition to that, and in addition to having his basic needs met, he was able to get access to capital to actually make some investments into a company. Nothing is built in this system that we currently have. Nothing is built without money. But they have the rest of us buying into this pipe dream that all we have to do is work a little harder. And if we work a little harder, then we too can become the next Jeff Bezos and build our empire. And the allure of that dream has become so intoxicating that it has lulled to sleep hundreds of millions, or dare I say even billions of people who are comfortably asleep, dreaming the pipe dream that if they just work a little bit harder, they can move up from poverty and living paycheck to paycheck and making less than $15 an hour. And they too can become a part of America's elite if they just work hard enough. Well, you realize that what you've been participating in all this time is one big sham and one big scam. And it's not for nothing. Oh, no. It's not that you're running in circles for nothing. It's that they have become, the ruling elite, the billionaires, oligarchs, those who run this country both economically and politically, they have become masters of generating obscene amounts of wealth through your delusions, through your pipe dreams, through your aspirations to become like them, even though you're waiting tables. They've become masters because the harder you work, the more they get. They get through your labor. Come on, you should be able to list these by now. They generate wealth off your labor. They generate wealth off your participation, just being here, viewing this content, the exchange of data. Your participation generates wealth. They generate wealth off your consumption. So when you go out and you're working and you get off the clock, you go and eat something, their money, boom, goes right back to them. So they're getting you coming and going. So it's not that you're spinning your wheels for nothing. As you spin your wheels and get nowhere, you are an engine of economic production. You just spinning your wheels. You're not getting anywhere. Oh, but your boss is. Well, really, his boss is. You're not getting anywhere, but you're creating some activity. You're generating some wealth. You're on that hamster wheel, creating that wealth. You're not getting anywhere, but every single thing that you do is creating wealth for the system, even if you're a dead ass broke. You're not getting anywhere, but the economic system is. The billionaires and the millionaires, they most certainly are. They have sold us a dream that is vivid enough to make us think that one day we'll become billionaires and Therein it lies the reason we haven't overthrown this system like previous revolutions have overthrown their system, or sometimes it was one greedy person at the top against another greedy person at the top, ultimately destroying the entire royalty, the entire nobility, right? Changing the system. But they have an agreement amongst themselves now. They have found a way that they all can have their own little fiefdoms. But they have given us a dream that is vivid enough for us to actually think that we are going to win through this system if we just work harder, knowing that, no, you're not going to win. You're just going to keep spinning your wheels, keep spinning your wheels, keep spinning your wheels. You're not getting anywhere. But the very act of you running on that hamster wheel, waking up every morning, 6 o'clock in the morning, getting dressed in some clothes that you purchased from them, getting in a vehicle, in a car that you purchased or rent or leased from them, or getting on public transportations that your taxpayers' dollar pays for, right? Going back to them, going to a job to generate wealth for them, eating at a restaurant, at a fast food joint, killing yourself as you eat that junk, but sending your money to them. You're on this hamster wheel. We're just through lunch. We haven't even gotten to the good part of the day, right? You go back to work and you slave and you generate money for them, right? If you have a breakthrough on the job, oh, by the way, we own that. Thank you for signing this contract at the beginning of your career with us for them, right? You get back in your car, you go pick up your kids from a school who has another person there who is spinning their wheels, and that money is not really going to that child care provider, but it's going back to them, right? Then you go home, take out your groceries that are all coming from some big box store. Your dollars are going to them. You watch TV. Your participation watching TV generates ad revenue for them. You go to sleep in a bed that you purchased from them, and you wake up and do it all over again for them. And at the end of the month, at the end of the year, what do most of us have to show for it? Nothing. What do they have to show for it? Everything. Where the hell did they get it from? You. Which brings me to the thing I really wanted to talk about. The reality about the elite is that there's absolutely, literally nothing whatsoever special about them above and beyond the ordinary human. Nothing. The only difference is that they had a certain level of need already met. They didn't have to worry about working 15 hours a day for $15 an hour. They had those needs. They didn't have to worry about where they were going to sleep. They want you to believe in this country that you can go from homelessness to becoming a billionaire if you just work hard enough. And they keep telling us that lie. And that lie is enshrined in our politics. But the reality of this pyramid scheme is, like I said, there's very few people at the top that would not be there without every single one of us at the bottom. It's simply not possible to have the top of a pyramid without the base of the pyramid. There's nothing special about a single billionaire on the face of this planet. Nothing. Nothing inherently special. They don't have a DNA or a biology or a physicality that actually makes them different. They just had their needs met and capital to invest. And a basic bum ass idea. No, you're already like them. You just don't have your basic needs met. And you just don't have access to capital because we still live in a capitalistic system where everybody needs money to get shit done. What we miss is the fact that instead of depending on a handful of tech bros to take us into the future, we could benefit from the collective contribution of billions of people who are able to go beyond subsistence living. You would think that the ruling elite would have learned their lesson, and the lesson is this: we have to, at some point in the course of human history, turn this pyramid upside down, where the masses have enough and the masses are afforded an opportunity to explore their greatness, Whereas in every period in the past, it's been, you see how I flipped that triangle, right? The pyramid is flipped. The masses need to have that opportunity. But in the past, it was a small subset of rulers who were able to explore their greatness. What would you do if you were not struggling? Like, I don't want you to tell me tell me whatever you want to tell me. I don't really know. Honestly, just whatever comes to your mind. But I'm looking for answers that are along the line of like, what is your hope for humanity that you would explore if you were not strangled by this sadistic rat race that we call the American dream? And the truth is, most of us have never been afforded the luxury, the unbelievable luxury of sitting around and thinking great thoughts. We've been too busy just trying to survive. And therein lies the problem with our entire society. Now, I think I can finally get to Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You learn about this in middle school. Physiological needs at the bottom: air, water, food, shelter, sleep, clothing, reproduction. Safety needs: personal, security, employment, resources, health, property. I really lump those first two together. Safety needs and physiological needs, those are critical. Love and belonging, friendship, intimacy, family, sense of connection. All these are critical. You can't really move to the next level without having the previous level. Esteem, respect, self-esteem, status, recognition, strength, and freedom. We are human creatures after all, right? The idea that we don't need that green row is a lie. We need respect. We need self-esteem. We need status. We need recognition. We need strength. That's the ego. We need freedom. We need those things. And then actual self-actualization to become the most that one can be. Anyway, the vast majority of our society is stuck in physiological needs. Just to get food, just to get water, just to have shelter. Where am I going to sleep tonight? Clothing and reproduction. Safety needs: personal security, employment, resources, health, property. Most of society is stuck at the bottom of this. Love and belonging. What's interesting about this is that most of us in any level of this, we try our best to still find some love and belonging, family, right? A sense of connection. Most of us are stuck at the bottom of this pyramid. And while we can find love and belonging all up and down this pyramid, the most obvious implication of this is that if the majority of our society is stuck trying to find employment, trying to find resources, trying to figure out how they're going to get their health taken care of, have absolutely no property, right? And then another half of our society is still struggling just for food and shelter, then how many of us are ever going to achieve self-actualization? If it is the case that you have to be special just to overcome the overwhelming gravity of all these things at the bottom, and that gravity is like what pulls us down, those are choices in our society. These are policy choices. The fact that anybody is without water, that anybody is without food, that anyone is without shelter, that anyone is without clothing. I can't help you with reproduction, but the fact that anyone is without those things, that's a policy decision in a country that generates so many trillions of dollars in wealth. Okay? So the gravity and the weight that is pulling people from the top, or the possibility of ever achieving the top, and it's constantly pulling us down, right? Like it's collapsing inside of a black hole. The weight of that gravity is so heavy that you can't escape. You can't worry about goddamn self-actualization when you ain't got no food. Hell, I couldn't worry about exercising when I couldn't pay my rent. When I was worried about how to pay my bills, I couldn't go out and go to the gym and it just wasn't, I just couldn't do it. So there's certain things that you simply cannot accomplish if you're stuck down here trying to worry about and figure out how you're going to pay your rent. Most of society is stuck down here. And they want us, they being the ruling elite, want us to celebrate the people who have made it to the top. But the reality of it is, the only reason they made it to the top is because they had all this stuff worked out before they even left their parents' house. They had all these things worked out before they ever graduated high school. They had all these things worked out long before they graduated college. Matter of fact, they didn't even have to go to college. We have a civilization that is built off of billions of people who are all struggling at the bottom of this hierarchy. We have a handful of people who have never had to worry about any of these things. And the only thing they've ever had to worry about is self-actualization. What is my contribution to humanity? Well, I think humanity would be pleasantly surprised and unbelievably rewarded if they gave everybody a chance to ask that question. What is my contribution to society? What is my contribution to humanity? That's a policy decision at this point. The reason I'm talking about this, everything is political. There's absolutely no reason that we cannot make sure that every single person in this country has a place to eat, food, a place to live, food to eat, clothes on their back, a doctor, and a living wage, an income. I feel like I left some, an education. We generate enough wealth. While you are on that hamster wheel running in circles, you're generating that wealth. While you're watching this video, you're generating wealth. Not for me, except for the super chats, but outside of that, just the mere fact that you're watching a stream is generating money for these tech companies. So I don't care if you never work another day in your life. You watching content online, exchanging your data, you're giving away your data. That is one of the most valuable assets that anybody has. In fact, you should be paid. Social media companies need to pay their users because the only way social media companies make money is off of your data. So your participation alone generates wealth. Oh, by the way, you work, so your labor is generating wealth. Oh, by the way, we're some consuming ass people. Economy 75% consumer. So they're making money off of your participation. They're making money off of your labor. They're making money off of your consumption. Oh, don't forget your taxes, state, local, federal. Whether you pay income or not, you're paying local taxes, sales taxes. You're paying these fines and tickets that you get. That's just another form of taxes. So they're making money off of you at every single turn. And we generate enough wealth with everything that you do to ensure that every person in this country, basically on the face of this planet, can have a place to stay, can have food to eat, can have an education through college, can have a doctor, and can have a wage. We literally make enough wealth to do all that. And oh, by the way, we can still have billionaires. And I'm not saying that because I give a shit about billionaires, because the other option for them is not really one that history has ever boded well for. You guys are morons. You really think you're going to get away with this for much longer? I'm sorry. Maybe they get away with it for their lifetime. The cycles of history are true. It's inevitable. It will inevitably come unless we change what we're doing. And what we've done throughout history, it has always been the pyramid scheme, where a select few at the top are given the opportunity to explore the greatness of their own mind, the greatness of their own sentience, the greatness of their own ideas, as they plunder and pilfer and destroy and cause chaos and destruction and spread disease and plague and colonization and murder and rape and all the other shit that they do to get their wealth and to maintain their wealth, which inevitably leads to revolution. So maybe, just maybe, we can look at history and say this pyramid scheme needs to be inverted. And instead of a society that only benefits a few, well, since we create enough wealth where everyone can benefit, why not create a society where everyone can have enough instead of having a society of haves and have-nots? That's just the kind of shit that I think about before I go watch Star Trek and, something Nova on PBS and, the colliding black holes and LIGO and that kind of stuff. We can pick this up tomorrow. Let's see what happens. Come hang out with me tomorrow. We'll talk more about stuff that's not political, but obviously it is political, because everything I talked about, even though it's not directly political, it's obviously political.
Good morning, everybody. Y'all know the voice, y'all know the sound, y'all know the face. It's your boy James Bubba Williams, DJ is in the building. Oh, she came in with some bass this morning. Good morning, everybody. Y'all make sure that y'all stay tuned. On the Clock is coming up next. Good morning, everybody. Hey. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Y'all make sure that y'all stay tuned. Shout out to everybody in the chat room. Good morning, y'all. Web server, yes. I'm live. Age, good morning. Don't know what's going on. Sophia Williams, good morning. Good morning, my love you, Boom Meat, Roller Dragon, what's going on? Shade Dragon, Cycle, Tyler, what's going on? Melanie, Carly Wynn, good morning. Truth the Dragon, good morning to you. If you missed the patron party on Friday, it was definitely a vibe. It was amazing. Good seeing all of you and having a chance to catch up and just vibe. I appreciate y'all. Hollywood, good morning to you. Boondocks Dragon, good morning. Robert Wilson, Trevor, good morning to you. Shout out Roller Dragon. Yes, Roller Dragon was the first one there, and it was this first party. We had an awesome time. Latif, what's going on, brother? I don't need your money, you can pay me your respect. Hey, y'all, Walker, good morning to you. To follow is a check. I need 100 bags, nothing more, nothing less. That's truth, I already know. All right, y'all, we ain't gonna keep this break too long. We got a jam-packed show today, so we want to keep things moving. On the Clock is starting up next. And on this episode of On the Clock, we commemorate the 100-year anniversary of the Black Wall Street Massacre. So if you don't want to miss this, so stick around. On the Clock is starting up next. Good morning.
My name is that okay. My name is Viola Ford Fletcher. I'm the daughter of Lucinda Ellis and John Wesley Ford of Tulsa, Oklahoma. I'm the sister of Hughes Van Ellis, who's also here today. I'm a survivor of the Tulsa Race Massacre. 2 weeks ago, I celebrated my 107th birthday. Today, I'm visiting Washington, D.C. for the first time in my life. I'm here seeking justice, and I'm asking my country to acknowledge what happened in Tulsa in 1921. On May 31st in 21, I went to bed in my family's home in Greenwood, neighbors of Tulsa. The neighborhood I felt asleep in that night was rich, not just in terms of wealth, but in culture, community, heritage, and my family had a beautiful home. We had great neighbors, and I had friends to play with. I felt safe. I had everything a child could need. I had a bright future ahead of me. Greenwood could, Still, Greenwood should have given me the chance to truly make it in this country. Within a few hours, all of that was gone. The night of the massacre, I was awakened by my family. My parents and 5 siblings were there. I was told we had to leave, and that was it. I will never forget the violence of the white mob when we left our home. I still see black men being shot, black bodies lying in the street. I still smell smoke and see fire. I still see black businesses being burned. I still hear airplanes flying overhead. I hear the screams. I have lived through the massacre every day. Our country may forget this history, but I cannot. I will not, and other survivors do not, and our descendants do not. When my family was forced to leave Tulsa, I lost my chance of an education. I never finished school past the 4th grade. I have never made much money in my country. State and city took a lot from me. Despite this, I spent time supporting the war effort in the shipyards of California, but most of my life I was a domestic worker serving white families. I never made much money, but to this day I can barely afford my everyday needs. All the while the city of this Tulsa have unjustly used the names and stories of victims like me to enrich myself and its white allies through the 30s million raised by the Tulsa Centennial Commissioner while I was continued to live in poverty. I am 107-year-old and have never seen justice. I pray that one day I will. I have been blessed with a long life and have seen the best and the worst of this country. I think about the terror, horror inflicted upon black people in this country every day. This subcontinuum committee has the power to lead us down a better path. I'm asking that my country acknowledge what has been happened to me, the traumas and the pain, the loss, and I ask the survivors and descendants to be given a chance to seek justice, open the door. All of you know how easy it is to deny that a violent mob threatened your lives and took your property. For 70 years, the city of Tulsa and its Chamber of Commerce told us that the massacre didn't happen, like we didn't see it with our own eyes. You have me here right now. You see Mother Randall, you see my brother Hughes Van Ellis. We live this history, and we can't ignore it. It's our lives with us. Oh, my goodness. We lost everything that day, our homes, our churches, our newspapers, our theaters, our lives. Greenwood represented all the best of what was possible for black people in America and for all the people. No one cared about us for almost 100 years. We and our history have been forgotten, washed away. This Congress must recognize us and our history. For black America, for the white Americans, and for all Americans, that's some justice. I guess this was it. Thank you.
Do you want to say anything else?
I thought it was another page.
Do you want to say anything else?
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything else you want to say?
No, it's not.
Thank you very much. We appreciate very much your testimony.
No.
Mother Fletcher.
I'm over Black Wall Street.
Okay.
This is all that's left.
Yeah.
And so this is just a show. I mean, social justice is great. We need that. But you will never have social justice until you have economic justice.
That is a Freeman Culver, president of the historic Greenwood Chamber of Commerce. Very interesting perspective there. I am joined by Jakara Hallman of News on Purpose. She was with me in Tulsa for the 100th anniversary of the Tulsa massacre. And Jakara, that was an interview you actually got. Why was the president of the Chamber of Commerce so upset?
So Dr. Freeman spoke about being upset because all around him, there are reporters and media that are coming there, and everyone is excited about everything that's happening as far as the president coming, as far as, the events and the hoorah. But he's looking at how many of them is actually speaking to himself and many of the other leaders that are actually boots on the ground, that is actually making the decisions, that is actually funding the businesses. So if you are going to capture what's actually happening in Greenwood and Tulsa, you want to talk to the people that are there. Right. And he's just looking at people go right past him.
And it's interesting. He said, I'm over Black Wall Street. This is all that's left. And so with me being there, also doing coverage independently as well, the observation that I made was, first of all, okay, there used to be 40 blocks of Black wealth, right? We know that 100 years ago, it was destroyed. But this is a community that has had 100 years to rebuild. And so I just kept asking myself, why had the community not been rebuilt? And to look around and see so much construction, I'm going to show you guys here. There was so much construction all around the area where Black Wall Street used to be. You see, there's a baseball field, there's apartments being built, there's condos. None of these things are being owned by Black businesses. These are all construction that is being developed for white-led corporations. And so I started to understand why the president of the Chamber of Commerce was so frustrated and why he was also calling out the president and saying, why is the president not meeting with him? Because he oversees economics. So really, when you think about it, what was it all about? And Jakara, can you share, we did some research in our preparation for the coverage we did. Can you share what you learned about what really happened to Black Wall Street after the massacre? We know that there was a period of rebuilding, but what ended up happening?
Yes, so I spoke with not only the president of the Chamber of Commerce, but I actually had an opportunity to get into one of the businesses on the single block that now stand and represent Black Wall Street. And each of them talked about their just overwhelmed spirit of having to, be in the presence and the spirit of rebuilding, but also about 5 years thereafter, the destruction, the massacre, and the burning of this town, they attempted to rebuild. And that rebuilding was met with gentrification and public utilities and facilities. They have a stadium.
Right.
A stadium in the middle of what used to be known as Black Wall Street. They have a highway and bypass just completely in the center of what used to be their space to grow, to build, to create a legacy for their family.
And I thought it was very interesting because we watched a lot of the mainstream media coverage and I didn't see anything on the urban renewal, the gentrification that had happened in the district and how that plays a role of where the community is today. And so for those of you who are just joining us, I'm independent journalist Georgia Fort, joined by Jakara Hallman of News on Purpose. We were both on the ground doing coverage in Tulsa for the 100th anniversary of the Tulsa massacre. And our observations of what was transpiring on the ground was very interesting. I noticed that the event to honor the survivors, right? There was this huge event that was planned. It got canceled. And in doing some digging and research, learned that this hasn't been confirmed yet, but from a very reliable source, the big event was canceled because survivors and descendants of survivors were asking for a portion of the proceeds from the event, and the commission denied their request. And so when the artists and the entertainers who were set to perform at that event learned about that, they pulled out. And there was this ripple effect of all of these events that were supposed to happen in honor of the 100th anniversary ended up being canceled. And so I also thought it was interesting that the president of the historic Greenwood Chamber of Commerce said that it was all really just a show. I want you guys to take a listen. He was pretty upset and disappointed by the lack of authenticity that surrounded all of the commemorations that were happening. Take a listen.
Right? And we know the pain is there, right, from these descendants. But you got to do your study and your research, Mr. President. You're not even talking with the right crowd. I'm over Black Wall Street, and I'm not even meeting the president. We're doing the work, but we don't have access to capital. You get what I'm saying? This is an injustice, and it's not the president's fault. It's our own community's fault. It's not racism, it's tribalism. And so all this media attention is going to people that's calling for reparations, that's not going to get it. And we're here struggling. Let's get some economics to this place so it can be an example for other communities. Because this wasn't the only massacre, right? You had massacre like this in North Carolina. You had them in Rosewood, Florida. You had them throughout the Midwest. So let's do this right economically. I have 30 black businesses here. Let's grow them. Let's give resources to them. They're doing their best to have an impact in the community. They already producing $4 million in the community.
And so, I mean, he's looking for real change. He doesn't want, the parade, and he doesn't want all of the banners that we saw strung all across Greenwood. He wants the city to be rebuilt. He wants reparations for the businesses and the people who were impacted by the devastation that happened 100 years ago. And you would think in 100 years' time, you would be able to rebuild. But the reality of what happened in Tulsa was it wasn't just the massacre that was a gross injustice. It was the fact that this incident was classified for decades, as a riot. And so what happens when you classify an incident as a riot, you can't get insurance claims. You can't get the city or the state to pay any type of reconciliation payments for what happened because it was classified as a riot. And for so long, we learned about it. Those of us who did learn about it, we learned about it as the 1921 race riot. Right. And then to add insult to injury, now that it's being recognized as a massacre, correctly, let's correct the narrative. It was a massacre. Now that it's being recognized as a massacre, guess what? Well, you have exceeded the statute of limitations. And so you're no longer eligible for, and so it's injustice after injustice after injustice. Jakar, I'm curious to know from you what your biggest takeaway was from being on the ground in Tulsa for the 100th anniversary of the Tulsa Massacre.
I think I said to you, coming back to the room one time after I woke up at 5 a.m. to attend an event that was scheduled for 6 a.m., I said, I'm coming to understand and believe that everything here that is scheduled is not what it's supposed to be or seem. And so as we got on the ground, as we were able to speak to the residents and the survivors, we learned that there is one image that is painted by mainstream media, and there is the truth. What I learned is so many different stories and recollections of what actually happened to start this event, to initiate what was known as the riot. See, words hold power. When you call it a riot, then you're putting blame onto the people of the community. So there were so many different recounts of the true story, and many of them say that what's his name, Dick Rowland and Sarah Page was actually a couple. They were an item. And as we know, during that time, it was not okay for interracial relationships to exist. But even if you don't believe that to be true, you have to also understand that both of them actually left Greenwood once this event took place. Both of them left.
You know, and I was really fascinated when I learned that the bottom half of the church, Mount Vernon, was the original basement of the church, and that it survived the bombings and the burning, and that they built upon it. And now they've dedicated that bottom half of the basement, the brick wall, to be a prayer wall. And they've invited this to be an interfaith effort. And so there's all of these, you know, beautiful, amazing stories of resilience and strength that have come out of Tulsa. But in being, you know, based out of Minneapolis and knowing how much has happened in terms of like the racial reckoning movement after George Floyd, you would think, you know, something an injustice this grave would have there would be some type of reparation, some type of really meaningful rebuild that would happen. And in 100 years, you have the time to raise the money. And we're seeing they had time and money to build a highway straight through where Black Wall Street used to be. They had time and money to build a baseball stadium right where Black Wall Street used to be. They currently have the time and money to build apartments where Black Wall Street used to be. And so when you really go into that community and you start asking the questions, not only what happened to Black Wall Street on June 1st, 1821, but what happened to Black Wall Street when Black people picked themselves up by their bootstraps and they started piecing their community back together in the 50s and the 60s. What happened was gentrification. And so this was a community that was not only plagued by the violence in 1921, but it was plagued by the injustices of gentrification. And I mean, it broke my heart to walk down Greenwood, you know, what's known now as Black Wall Street, and see all of these markers on the ground. When you're walking on the sidewalk, you can see these: Grace Johnson's restaurant, Edward Durham's furnished rooms, destroyed 1921. Roland Furniture, destroyed 1921, not reopened. Dixie Theater, destroyed 1921. Destroyed 1921, reopened. That was a leasing company. Dr. Travis, destroyed in 21 and reopened. But so if some of these businesses were reopened, then why don't we see them when we're walking? Where are they now? What happened to them? And so when you start really digging, you learn that Black Wall Street was destroyed again.
Yeah.
And that is why the president of the Chamber of Commerce is upset. That is why he called this 100th anniversary commemoration a show. That's why he said, I'm over Black Wall Street, because this community has been done wrong by their city officials, their state officials, over and over again. That was my takeaway, Jakara. I know I have my own, you know, ideas. And I've done some different, you know, research and interviews that have led me to that conclusion. Yeah. What was your conclusion leaving Tulsa and leaving Black Wall Street?
My conclusion is that they are owed reparations. They are owed their due diligence. My conclusion is, I have so many questions actually walking away. Like, what would that theater have been today? That could have been the next Marriott, the next Holiday Inn, or, you know, just if they had been able to live Hyatt, Trump, you know, hotels, something big. Had they been able to live and continue and strive? Obviously, I did see for myself that it was a show, that some people showed up for pictures and commentary. I actually had an opportunity to go inside of Vernon AME Church, and they had a table paying homage and in remembrance of some of the members. But obviously, there's not enough space for everyone who lost their lives and their business and everything they owed.
And to know that they have archaeologists who are still digging up mass burial sites. So the death toll as we know it is still increasing. The more that they research this horrific event. Originally, I think reports said that there was 30 or 40 people who were killed.
Right.
And then the archaeologists started digging up these mass burial sites, and that death toll has increased. And even as we were leaving Tuesday afternoon, there were reports coming out that the archaeologists were still doing more testing and still doing more digging and finding more human remains. So this now I think the death toll is upwards of 200, between 200 and 300 people were killed. But we won't really ever know for sure because there was so much cover up that was done. The individuals who were involved in this were, very, they did their due diligence in making sure that it didn't seem as bad as it really was. And so when you go to the extent of picking up bodies and laying them in mass burial sites, not even giving people proper burials, the lack of humanity in that is unbelievable. And it is a shame. America ought to be ashamed. When you look at this history, our country ought to be ashamed that we have survivors. The Mama Fletcher, 107 years old, goes and speaks before Congress and still has not received any reparations. And to your point, Jakar, about the hotels, Stratford had a hotel. He was one of the last people that was pulled out of Black Wall Street because after they burnt down all of the buildings, then they started kind of rallying everybody together, all the Black people together to be stationed or be safe at like the convention center, like these larger gathering areas. And Stratford remained in his hotel. He was one of, I think, about 4 or 5 hotels on Black Wall Street. And he was high up enough where he could actually shoot out his window. Eventually, they talked him out of his hotel. They got him to come out and they burnt it down.
And they promised him.
When you look at someone like Stratford, he not only had the hotel, but he also had about a dozen other properties. And he very well could have been on his way to be the next Marriott or one of these big hotel chains. But you would never know because it was taken from him.
We could have been going to the Stratford.
Right? Man. And so I went on this trip thinking that it was going to be a moment to connect with heritage and, commemorating Black excellence. And it actually, I kind of left angry. I left angry that there has been this opportunity to reconcile, and no one has seized that opportunity, that the city and state officials in Tulsa have the opportunity to be on the right side of history. And while they planned this beautiful event and they commissioned all of this artwork to go up all across the city, they have not done the very basic thing that would reconcile what happened.
Right.
Which is
take care of those families, those survivors.
Exactly.
Like, why are they still struggling?
Exactly. And so, it is disheartening to know that in this city where you had 40 blocks of Black wealth destroyed and now reduced down to just a block. And that block ends by the highway, and it is surrounded by all of this corporate construction. And so we thought it was important following our trip to Tulsa to take this time to debrief with you guys, to unpack some of the things that we observed, to share with you some of the conversations that we had with individuals in passing. Jakar, is there anything else you want to share about our time in Tulsa and covering the 100th anniversary of the Tulsa Massacre?
You know, overall, this trip was very, very, very bittersweet. Anytime someone asked me about it, I said that high highs and low lows. One thing we also learned is just how divided the city is, and just the lack of effort being put in by the city officials, the mayor, the governor. They speak one thing, but then their actions show another. Check out the bills and the laws that have been passed, including, things in recognition of Trump. And so just being in that space and learning of that really was disappointing. And I understand why the president of the Chamber of Commerce is disappointed.
Absolutely. Before we go, we will play that clip for you again of the president of the Chamber of Commerce. Before we do that, you guys make sure that you follow Jakara Hallman, News on Purpose. She's another independent journalist who's always on the ground, doing phenomenal work. She is also in the military. And I'm very proud to see you living both worlds of media and military. You have a very special gift of meeting people and just making them feel comfortable. And so I'm proud to be on this journey with you. Make sure you guys follow her, subscribe to her channels. When you mentioned the thing about Trump, you guys, if you go to my story, and also make sure you're following and you're subscribed to my channels as well. But if you go to my story on Facebook or Instagram or on TikTok, you'll see I actually captured the moment where Trump supporters were driving around in Tulsa, in Greenwood, on Black Wall Street, the day when the president came in to commemorate this horrific history, right? And they had their flags flying that said F Biden, just going up and down the streets, right on Black Wall Street. And it was so disrespectful on, this day where you have our elders, our community elders, coming and asking for something very traumatic that happened to them to be commemorated. And you guys can see that. We're going to end on the president of the Chamber of Commerce. He's very upset and very disappointed by the lack of action. For lack of a better way to put it, he was very disappointed in the lack of action that people have taken surrounding rebuilding Black Wall Street. Thank you guys so much for tuning in tonight.
We know the pain is there, right, from these descendants. But you got to do your study and your research, Mr. President. You're not even talking with the right crowd. I'm over Black Wall Street, and I'm not even meeting the president. We're doing the work, but we don't have access to capital. You get what I'm saying? This is an injustice, and it's not the president's fault. It's our own community's fault. It's not racism, it's tribalism. And so all this media attention is going to people that's calling for reparations, that's not going to get it. And we're here struggling. Let's get some economics to this place so it can be an example for other communities. Because this wasn't the only massacre, right? You had massacre like this in North Carolina. You had them in Rosewood, Florida. You had them throughout the Midwest. So let's do this right economically. I have 30 Black businesses here. Let's grow them. Let's give resources to them. They're doing their best to have an impact in the community. They already producing $4 million in the community.
All right, y'all. Shout out again to Georgia Fort for bringing us that footage of the 101st commemorative event of Tulsa, Oklahoma, man. Yes, like they said, there were several other race riots, and not even calling it race riots, white supremacist attacks in our country since then as well, too. If you don't know, look up Red Summer, and you'll catch a lot of information, man. Y'all make sure y'all stay tuned, like it or not. Rebecca Azor is coming up next. Good morning, everybody. Alicia, good morning to you. Mara Sharice, Isabel Nassas, Nicole Howe, good morning, y'all.
I hope you know that it may hurt for a while. Let's slow down, slow down. I can see behind that broken smile. Nice, sweet, smooth, like cocoa bread, cocoa bread. Nice, sweet, smooth.
Juanita, good morning to you. Brother Tiger, what's going on? Snack Panther, we missed you Friday. E. Johnson, good morning. Kelly, good morning to you.
Ooh, driving date, watch a movie. Right by your side on duty. Not too much, not too sweet. Ooh, passion from your truly.
Snack Panther wasn't there on Friday. I know he would have said something. Case, good morning to you. Yes, Mara, I wish there was something to recover from. I didn't do nothing this weekend but DJ. It was fun, though. It was really fun. Jill Potts, good morning. Snack Panther, were you there Friday night and we just didn't know about it? Were you just quiet? You may be thinking about Jose Roller Dragon. All black people don't look at it. Let me stop playing.
Can't take the eye off you. Them girl can't take the eye off you. My yeah, in my mind on you. My can't take my mind off you.
I'm about to say, I know Snack Panther wasn't there because I know he would have said something all night long.
Got me talking crazy. You're nice, sweet, smooth, like cocoa bread, cocoa bread. You're nice, sweet, smooth, like cocoa bread, cocoa bread.
All right, y'all, real quick before we get into like it or not, we go patron members and our new tier subscribers read off. New patrons, we have Michaela C, Hannah T, Lucas S, Dr. Wendy C, and Pack TV. Y'all welcome and thank y'all again for joining the Patreon. Our new Twitch subscribers, we have Snow Angels 919 who subscribed to Prime. Hammer 31Z, we subscribe to that. I don't know why that kicked my ass so much. Jam 2, resubscribed and commented. Love y'all. Thanks for all you do. And they've been subscribed for 14 months. Dr. Rizzo subscribed with Prime. Cute Cat cheered 100 bits. Shout out, sis Cute Cat. And when there are 15 resubscribed and commented good morning, and they've been subscribed for 10 months, man. Hey, if you have not already done so, like it or not, patreon.com/like it or not, patreon.com/the BPD show. Y'all go ahead, man, join and get this good content so y'all can keep me and Rebecca out of the corporate America that's keeping us enslaved like hell. All right, y'all. Y'all make sure y'all stay tuned. Like it or not, it's coming up next. You don't want to miss it. Good morning, everybody. Industrial Arts, what's going on, brother? Good to see you always.
Number 9. Diamonds in my teeth, I got a lot of shine. Running up the numbers, that's a lot of grind. Try and take it from me, must be out your mind. I'm big time. Lot of signs.
Jason Goodcrop, good morning to you. Goodcrap, I'm sorry. Good seeing you on Friday, Jason. Trevor, isn't it though? This beat is off the chain. Rachel Manning, good morning. Jade, I appreciate you. Hey, someone asked me to name 2 structures that hold water. I was like, well, damn.
She want the 2-tone spaceship. Blow smoke screen daily, so the stress don't faze me. I'm going, I keep it factual. I'm on sabbatical. I'm out in Central America. I need a break from hysteria. Park like the one with the carousel. I get it lit in your area. I'm locked to the vision, it couldn't be clear. You couldn't pay me to care enough. I dare you to hate me supreme with the sound through the stereo. So turn it up loud when you hearing us. We live and it's good in your area. My mama
I can't tell that dad joke. That one was freaking funny. I can't do that one. But no, yesterday I went for a job interview at IKEA. The manager said, come in, make a seat.
Red one, if I hold you down, I'ma keep it there till we in the ground. Jet black when I paint the town, only blue sheets when they pay me now.
They gonna cancel me for these damn jokes.
I got the game in the vice grip. Way up when the fire's clear. All the homies on the flight list. Verbally gifted, take the plot and I twist it. Got it big lit. Sex with the incense, got my mind red, so won't stop, I'm relentless.
Shout out Margarine Tater Green for making the stupidest ass comments today talking about a Peachtree dish. Peachtree dish. You so stupid, girl.
I want a girl for the mouthpiece.
And that's not a joke. The video was out there. Oh my God, y'all just wait.
She like my character traits. I never stop for a break. I put a lock on the game. I put a stock in my name, but I give a f about the fame. I took a bite out of life and it tastes so exquisite. It feel like you do when you look in my pendant. Hopeless romantic, my girl, chin up for the kid. I'm not on no simps. Won't stop to the youngest he dreams. When I take her from rags to riches. I heard that you claim that you know me, but you ain't the homie. The f is your friendship. I need the loyalty back at the road.
What did the shipmates find in the toilet?
Nobody holding me. Big wave at your shoreline, so they know it's me. Babe boy from the cold seas.
I said, what did the shipmates find in the toilet?
Tell them don't reach. Ice cold with it, no fleece.
You say what?
Tell her I can't snake me.
Oh my God! Bro, that's probably better than what the answer is. Yo, I hate the way. No, but what it was the captain's log.
That's a good one. Look, so if people want to know what my answer was, patreon.com/life. Come to Patreon and get access to the after party.
And that's how you'll find out what Dwayne's answer was. I think I like that one much better.
She wanna know me. I stay low key, all gas, no breaks, baby. Let them hoes sleep. Body on 10, make your girl up.
Hey, if you think swimming with dolphins is expensive, you should try swimming with sharks. It cost me an arm and a leg.
What you need, baby? Won't you keep me company? Give me something to do when I get
Man.
I got something for you when we get home. If you let me.
What do you call a line of men waiting to get haircuts? A barbecue.
Solid one time if you lie with me. Just promise you never lie to me. Keep the moves on tuck.
Okay. One more. Damn, it's 9:13, ain't you know that? If you think your microwave collecting data and the TV spying on you is bad enough, the vacuum cleaner has been gathering dirt on you for years.
I've been feeling like a man. Lately, can't nobody do it like I can. Lately, baddest in the land. Body turn your nigga to a fan.
Okay. That's it. I promise that's it. That's it. This last one. After you die, the last part of your body to start working are your pupils because they dilate. See, this is why y'all don't leave me alone for too long. All right, y'all know what time it is. Is it time to wait? All right, y'all know what time it is, man. Y'all know the song. It's gonna change soon. They be doing this season. It'll change. Who knows? We'll see.
Drink whatever it is you need. It's time for Like It or Not, y'all. 9 a.m. to 10:30, yeah. Like It or Not is on your channel, yeah. Politics and culture ish, we change skin like we supposed to, yeah. Interviews and all the news, we get to choose what gets the views. Like It or Not with Queen Azure, it's starting now, so stick around. Like it or not, it's going down. Like it or not.
Laura Strada, good morning.
It's coming through. You know she got a good story for you. Oh, Benjamin, that's my dog. This is his show. He's a politics bro.
This is from Tiger. What happened when the Igloo homeowner had a housewarming party? He had a meltdown.
DJ exclusive. Y'all know who I am.
I hate y'all, but let y'all send me jokes. Y'all are terrible people.
Like it or not, it's going down. Like it or not, y'all stick around. Oh, like it or not, it's starting now. Like it or not, it's about to go down.
Like It or Not with Benjamin Dixon starts now.
Good morning, good morning, good morning.
Good morning, and welcome to Like It or Not, where we're free to tell the truth.
It's not care. I say it's not, and not care.
I said free, and I said fee. So I said something else. It was different. It was not free. It was not free.
It's 1 a.m. You look like you're still on the island somewhere, girl.
Yeah, no, it's the hair. And it's the spring summer feel outside. I'm always be naked during the spring and summer. And for the show, I'll probably give you guys some arm. But yeah, it's hot outside. It is hot. It's hot. It's hot. It's hot that you can't have the air conditioner balanced with what's outside. You know how like with the cool you can do like a quick balance. Like okay, it's 70 degrees outside. I can do like a 70 or not even turn it on at all. Put up the windows and not get that outside smell because it's fresh breeze coming out. But when it's hot, it's like people are cooking outside. And where I live, those people cooking outside, that just moves right into
It smells like cooking wet dog, don't it?
Yeah, well, let me tell you, honey, they was really cooking on the grill yesterday, okay? They was cooking on the grill yesterday at the pool. And me and my sister, I was like, yeah, let's go check it out. And then we went down there and it was like, They were every corner. I'm like, where are we going to sit? We're not going to be able to go anywhere there. They're like, one is like, I mean, it's a speck or two of us out there. And I was like, yeah, but look where they're sitting. And they're facing the opposite side of the pool. And they're just sitting there talking to each other. In a corner.
So basically it was Get Out Part 2 that you walked into.
It was giving me, and then I went to go see like, okay, let me see who's at least by the grill area. So I said, let me look towards the grill. And I looked over towards the grill and I was like, what is that on the, are they cooking like, it was just giving me like kale, Like, why do you need the grill for those things? Like, why? We don't need y'all flipping a carrot. I don't even eat red meat like that. But I'm looking like, where is it? Like, it's not. And then that brought me to a post that really set, like, put things in perspective for me. We're the adults now. And ever since we've been the adults now, we haven't been planning cookouts. You know what we're doing? We're going to brunches, as I did yesterday. We're trying to be on yachts. We're trying to live the soft life out of our means, because now we went from black luxury to soft life now, or something of the sort. So now we're living soft lives out of our means, when you know you can get about 5 of your friends to go buy the meat, buy the sides, and pull up to your grill first. Mark your territory. Okay? And have that cookout at the apartment complex. Or if you have a house, to make it cheaper. You do it at your house, so you don't have to go waste no gas while gas is expensive right now. Go on all up in Atlanta, be in traffic and stuff. You can invite your friends over to your space, somewhere to be. Okay? And then they each bring a side. And I know, they could make it people that you trust. Only appoint people that you trust to make the sides. And to bring, the chicken and all that good stuff, or the pre-seasoned meat, and you got to grill outside. You know what I'm saying? And then you got the vibes. Now you're playing the 90s music, not only watching it on social media, but you're actually living in that moment, right? Right? They're not doing that anymore. They being us, we're the adults now, and we just ain't doing that. We want that soft living. We want that, good for TikTok. And then when we see other people actually living their lives, actually grilling and stuff, we'll like it and move on. And, I think it's crazy. We've become the adults, and they not buying them sandals no more. The men aren't buying them sandals. Now they in hot boy pants. That's the summer.
You got to get the name right. It's called Hoochie Daddy Shorts.
Hoochie Daddy Shorts, okay? And let me tell you something about Caribbean men. They've been doing Hoochie Daddy Shorts, but these shorts that they got on right now in America, that they selling on ASOS and what is it? Fashion Nova for men, yes.
She
and it's Shein, y'all. It is not Shein, but yes, on Shein side they selling them, and they cut up at the sides right here, so it's giving you and I love a diamond cut for myself because I don't have any hips, but the men got a diamond cut too.
The thighs all out. I love it.
And I'm like,
let me have a thigh tattoo too. Oh God.
You see, I would expect, and it's crazy. See, I like gray sweatpants. This is not the season for gray sweatpants. It gets hot down there. You guys get hot down there too. So you need to let it breathe. So I'm okay with the shorts being shorty, but when they in the crease, I don't need to see like it's up in there. Like it's me and you can't have natural shorts.
Talking about the male camel toe.
I can't. No, from the back.
Oh yeah, nah.
Me and you can't be sitting up together. Me and you can't be. Anyways, happy Tuesday, you guys. I hope that you guys enjoyed your Memorial Day. I hope that you guys at least enjoyed a cookout with your family, friends. I know COVID is still happening, so I hope that you guys are taking precaution as well. What did you do for your weekend, Bubba?
Oh, let's see. I DJ'd Saturday for a day party, which was really fun. All the Hoochie Daddy Shorts was out, so I enjoyed seeing it a little bit.
Well,
so
it was a day party at the pool?
Yeah, at Bulldogs. Everybody know what Bulldogs is. The gayest club in Atlanta that's been here forever.
Oh, I'm like, I don't know what Bulldogs is. You got to take me.
Look, bro, you know what? I should have called you and told you to just bring your ass on. You would have had so much fun.
Yeah.
You would have been in your element.
Yeah, you didn't tell me. So
my bad, Shawty. My bad.
But you did DJ though. How was that?
Yeah, it was fun. It was cool. It started off a little slow. Of course, we never go nowhere on time. So it started at 4. People didn't get there until 6. My set ended at 7. And of course, they wanted me to go over. I said, nope, this money say 7:30. So that's all y'all getting today.
Hello. Now nowadays we are not giving you an extra time. No, nothing. If you're not my nails kind of short now, so I can't really make the sound like I used to. But if you're not giving me the coin,
sure.
So, no, these are short. You know, I went full stiletto. It's not my usual like SWV long curve.
Okay.
It's just full stiletto, and it's just kind of boring at this point.
I like them. They look
but
good.
Anyway, thank you. That's me being 32. This is the mature in my fingernails. But it might not last too long. I might be back on my SWV. But you know, there was a lot of news as we were taking our as we were taking our breaks, and I hope that you guys again enjoyed your breaks. But there was a lot of news and a lot of updates that were going around. But these are the few things that I wanted to talk about. And I'll start with this one. I'm going to do the Lake Lanier story. Okay, so. I wanted to talk about this only because I think that every time a story comes up in Lake Lanier, it's a man-made lake in the, I think, Forsyth, Georgia area. Forsyth, am I saying it right, Bubba?
Forsyth County.
Forsyth County. And that's just a little bit in the metro area of...
That I am sick and tired of the left-wing media and, frankly, people in this room today.
I don't know. That's crazy.
Oh, wow.
I didn't know what that was, but I felt that. I'm like, me too.
That won't Forsyth. It's been a while. I hit the wrong.
Okay. Let's dust it off. Okay. So back
we
again.
You, Dwayne. It's okay.
We did.
Okay. Look. Yeah.
We did. So here's the thing. Like Lake Lanier is a man-made a lake that a lot of people use as a beach. There are little things on the sides of it. I haven't been. I have been, but it was so long ago, long ago, and I didn't do anything there. And I heard there's like Margaritaville now on there. Kids are partying. Kids are underage and partying on boats and things like that. And every time the sun starts shining in that area of Atlanta. People die over there at Lake Lanier. It's like Lake Lanier is waiting to swoop people up. So I'll give you the story that happened over the break. So the Georgia Department of Natural Resources has confirmed that a 20-year-old man drowned Sunday afternoon at Margaritaville on Lake Lanier. The man has not been identified by officials. Game wardens used sonar to find the man's body, which was recovered by the Hall County Fire Department. On Saturday, a 5-year-old drowned in Alatoona Lake after witnesses said they were playing on a float. Lake Lanier was created, and this is a little history about Lake Lanier. Lake Lanier was created in 1957. In order to flood the area or to make the lake, the U.S. government displaced over 700. And we're going to say 700, mostly black people, and had to relocate 20 cemeteries, including bodies, but they didn't manage to move all the grave sites. At the bottom of Lake Lanier lies a small village called Oscarville, Georgia. It was a thriving village that was predominantly black owned, the very same village that the 700 families were displaced from. Now, Oscarville, all right, Oscarville. I had to find out from Oscarville. Now, every spring, summer, fall, every spring and summer, we will see a lot of these stories come up about Lake Lanier, honestly. And what happens is Oscarville gets drowned out. They'll just say, "Oh, it was built upon a black city. It was they had to drain out or put in and build it on top of," but they never really go into where Oscarville or who Oscarville was. And so Oscarville was another black city that was also, caused black people by the force of white people to leave. So here's the truth about it. And so as reported by the Gainesville Times, so there's an area called Gainesville, Georgia here as well. And as reported by the Gainesville Times, Oscarville is a community that once stood in the northeastern Forsyth part near the border of Hall County on a portion of the land later used to build the lake. Before 1912, there were nearly 1,100 black residents in Forsyth County. 58 of them were landowners. That's talking about generational wealth, baby. 109 black residents rented or owned farms. Other black residents worked in Cumming as craftsmen or other laborers. Some white residents in Forsyth saw this community as a sort of threat. Nothing new. Violence led essentially and every black person to flee Forsyth, even those who owned land by the end of the year. 2 assaults against white women were reported in the county. The first alleged assault took place in September 5th, 1912, when a woman reported that 2 black men had assaulted her in Cumming. And Cumming is another area in metro Atlanta. It's not Atlanta. Just days later, the body, an 18-year-old white woman, was found in the woods near Oscarville. Several black residents were named as suspects for the alleged rape and murder, including Ernest Knox and Robert Edwards. In an effort to provide safety, Knox was transferred to a jail in Atlanta while the remaining suspects stayed at the jail in Cumming. Rumors swirled and were reported in the papers that the black residents threatened to dynamite the town if there were any lynchings, causing a mob of angry white residents gathered outside the jail. They had one mission: to seize Edwards from the jail, beating him to death before he was hung by a telephone pole in Town Square. This incident started a wave of violence directed toward the black community in Forsyth County. Mobs threatened residents and fired guns into homes. Night riders, white residents who came at the night on a horseback, also burned down homes and threw explosives into nearby buildings, according to archived reporting by the Gainesville News and Dahlonega. I always get that. I see it on the sign every time I'm riding through Dahlonega Cummings. That exit right there, and I feel like I'm just going. And I'm like, what does that say? Thank you. And the Dahlonega Nugget. So the black residents of Forsyth County were forced to start over, securing jobs. Forced to start over. This is them running the people out of Forsyth County, moving them out of that area of Oscarville and into the Gainesville area. So the black residents of Forsyth County were forced to start over, securing jobs and opening businesses where they could in Gainesville. And those who owned land in Forsyth no longer felt safe coming back to claim what was theirs. Moving forward nearly 40 years through the process of preparing for Lake Lanier, the U.S. government acquired the rights to more than 56,000 acres of land in Forsyth and Dawson counties to make room for the 38,000 acre lake and more than 700 miles of shoreline. That meant forcing the remaining folks out of their land. About 24 of the nearly black landowners of Forsyth County at the time were able to sell their land. 24 of them. The other properties have no record of sale, and some believe the abandoned land was simply taken by white residents. Yep. That is what Lake Lanier was built on top of. So,
and I'll say this as well too, Rebecca, because I love that you found this information, because I think last week, 2 weeks ago, I was just doing some research on Lake Lanier, and I've watched like dive videos of people going down there that you still see lampposts. There's a church still built down there. You see street signs as well too. So all of this stuff is still under the lake, and they wonder why people always die in the lake.
They are them spirits of ancestors that never got what was theirs and that were forced to be outside and moved. This is what I'm talking about all the time. Now, granted, this happened in 1912, but this is a history that many people do not know. And the people who are in the area of that area that are white know the history of that area, but they never will say there was a black community that once was thriving here. They are going to claim something that was not theirs, and that's the history of America. I said this before. That's some of the essence that America is built off of. It's always claiming something that isn't theirs, and if they can't get it the way they want it, they will kill, steal, and destroy. Remove all historical facts about how this land was once owned by someone else. I mean, it is America's essence for real. It is America. You know, indigenous people still to this day have to fight for protecting at least remnants of their heritage, of their areas where they are at least kept in their family for generations and generations, because Americans already stole their whole country. Now, we talk about Oscarsville. That's just a small part of Georgia. Georgia is known. We know Georgia's history. When people say Georgia, we know that there are a lot of places outside of where we live today. Yeah. Just miles away, just maybe at least in the 50 to like 30 mile range, that you will see it's very racist right here where I am. I go all the time to downtown, of where I'm at, and they always stare at me crazy. It feels uncomfortable.
Real quick. My mom and my dad just told me a story yesterday that they had in Riverdale, which is predominantly black. You would think that it's more black people there, but while they were at the store, excuse me, Mom was sitting in, I think, coming out the door, and Dad was sitting outside. So while my dad is sitting there, a white boy comes out and said, "It's a lot of niggers in there." And so my mom comes out, and my dad is just like, Daddy already can't see. My dad cannot see. So he's just like, did I just hear that? So then another white family comes out behind them, and they were like, oh, yeah, he's not with us. But yes, in a predominantly black town, it doesn't matter. It's closer than y'all think.
That's
it
scary,
really
though.
is.
In a predominantly black town, what was it? Just a few weeks ago in Buffalo, we had the murders at a grocery store of a white person going into a place where black people were predominantly and shooting them down. So just to hear that gives me a cause for a pause, and that's scary.
And Rebecca, one last one that I just found out about too. My niece, 21 years old, they stay in McDonough, Georgia, which is further south of Atlanta. She was coming out of a racetrack down there. So while she's coming out, she's thinking that the white guy is holding the door for her. As she gets close up to the door, the white man slams the door in her face, busting her lip. And if I'm not mistaken, said something derogatory as well too. Yeah.
And where was this? What area was this?
McDonough, Georgia. It's about maybe 20, 30 minutes south of Atlanta. Yeah, here it is. If you think that these things don't exist anymore, they do. They still exist.
And this is problematic. And even on Memorial Day, we want to recognize the people who have gone. Y'all over there at Lake Lanier, there's people underneath that water that have passed and gone. That was not too long ago. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Forest Park or whatever it was, not too long ago. I think I am 32 years old. About 32 years ago, they were fighting because they wanted to integrate the area. They were fighting because of that. Oprah, I think, went out there to do a story. And what happened was they ran Oprah behind out. She went to go do that story, and then they told her if she's going to stay there, they're going to run. They done ran her up out of there right here. I'm 32, and this is about 32 years ago. So they did not want to. So this is fresh on people's minds. This is the way that Georgia functions. And if you do go, and in these areas too, if you're looking for a place that is affordable, these places are pretty affordable, right? Yeah. Outside of what's Atlanta right now. But they don't want you there. That every time you go online to look or whatever, they are claiming lands or areas that weren't theirs before, but they're claiming it. They thought Buckhead would be theirs, and they thought making Buckhead fresh and new would be great. Black folks came over there from other counties and towns and everything, and now white folks are trying to leave it abandoned to move towards other areas and gentrify those areas. And it's not fair, because black people have found areas in Georgia that they found solace and no issues, and not trying to be pushed out and things. And, it's a lot. I don't like Georgia's history, but I do think that people should know about Georgia's history. Georgia's history is not really always history, because a lot of those things that we would think are historical and are foreign and people aren't living those lives anymore are still happening today. I seen a TikTok not too long ago about an area outside of Georgia, a small town, and there are a lot of small towns outside of the Atlanta metro area. In this area, there's still a restaurant that is functioning. If you pull up, they have the pictures of black people as monkeys, and them eating watermelon and very racist things inside of the restaurant, pickaninnies and stuff like that, all in the restaurant. And the restaurant is still thriving and functioning in this small town that has Trump everywhere. It has the former President Obama in a racist light on the wall. And this little restaurant is still up and functioning to this day. So there are towns that are still acting as if black people shouldn't be around, should not be treated as people, and should be murdered. And then they have things about lynching also in that restaurant. So yes. So for people to say, oh, you know, this was 400 years ago and this was such and such years ago and that was so long ago. Come on, y'all. We got people who are still living, who still remember things that happened in their town. You know, we got people, we just were talking about the reparations due to the people of Tulsa. I think the same thing should happen for the people of Oscarville who were ran out of their towns. These stories are very, 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 they're not that quite uncommon. They're very common around the world. Around the United States. I can only speak for where we're from. Around the United States, these stories are very, very common. And so when we discuss these things and when we talk about things like Memorial Day, we don't talk about the black folks that really served for this country and lost their lives. They served in that way too, having to fight for their land and things like that, and still getting it taken away from them. We got so many stories that we could go by with those. But yes, racism is not only something that happened hundreds and hundreds of years ago. We are still living that every single day. We can look at that with the recent shootings and things like that. Now, discussing the recent shootings, I want to pivot to talking about bulletproof backpacks, as we are seeing another rise in media, another rise in media of covering these massacres, these mass shootings. I remember in 2017, I'm trying to remember it was the high school shooting, and I can't remember the name of it, but it was the high school shooting that happened in 2017. And I did a story when I was doing the first of Like It or Not with Benjamin Dixon. And we covered a story, and I need the name of the school, but we covered a story about those high school kids, and I covered the story for, oh my gosh, we and Ben were just exhausted. But we started covering the story about bulletproof backpacks and how they were created, and how the Republican lawmakers were saying, and the Republican leaders were saying, this will be a way for us to protect our kids. They literally put the protection of kids in the hands of teachers and in the hands of the parents to put these book bags and send these kids to school and have these kids cover themselves with these backpacks. So these bulletproof backpacks are now in demand, and the demand is spiking following the devastating school shooting in Uvalde, Texas. Manufacturers are saying they are seeing a spike in their sales. 4 companies that manufacture the bulletproof gear said they've already seen more customers searching for these type of products since the gunman had opened fire in the local school, Robb Elementary. Yazir Sheikh with Guard Dog Security, a company that manufactures and distributes various self-defense products like stun guns, alarms, and pepper spray, said that they're seeing an increase in customers interested in the backpacks, which the company says can act as a shield in the event of shooting. Now, we're telling our babies, the elementary school kids, to shield themselves. And back when I covered this story of this is the school, I believe, in Fort Lauderdale. It's in Florida, the Florida school, and I can't remember the name.
Parkland.
There we go, Parkland. The Parkland shooting. We're telling them that they should be covering themselves. Now we're telling these babies they should be covering themselves with these backpacks. A person standing in the line of fire can hold the backpack up to their head or chest to deflect the bullets. Product illustrations on the website show the backpacks come in different colors and patterns and weigh less than 4 pounds, according to product descriptions. Guard Dog Sheik said he has donated a portion of the proceeds received from the bulletproof backpack sales to Make Our Schools Safe, a nonprofit started by the parents of one of the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School victims in Parkland, Florida in 2018. I mean, if I got down to the bottom, I would have got the name of the school. But yes, so all of that, that's we crazy. Are telling our children, and here's my thing about it. Here's my thing about it. Hold on. Give me one thing. Give me one moment here. I'm just trying to. There's so many things I have on this thing about it, because there's one thing, but there's another thing. There's always going to be another thing. Listen, before we get to what we have here, now, here's my thing about it. All these Republican leaders to this day, from the history of all these school shootings, have stood on one thing, and that's going to be to deflect. put it on somebody else. Always just put the blame, put the responsibility. Still make your kids go to school though. But what we gonna do to make y'all feel better is put them in these, and to see kids associated with this kind of commercial or this kind, it does not sit right with me. Me neither. I don't want to see my kid wearing a backpack and police officers shooting at something or shooters shooting at something to practice. I don't like it. This is America. This is normal. We move away from what happened earlier this month, in Buffalo, and then we come down and we remove that story in the media altogether. Those people who lost their lives from this reckless gunman who went to the Tops grocery store and killed them because they were black. And the thing is, we can't keep both stories in the media. Both are gruesome. People losing their lives because they're black, and some psychopath walking into the school because whatever the case may be, and shooting off these kids, babies, children, these babies. The developing a story of these police officers actually going in, grabbing their kids when they heard about the shoot. This is actual and factual, y'all. This is actual and factual. This is part of the development of the story of the school shooting, and these police officers going in, grabbing their kids when they heard about the shooting, because some of these police officers had their kids locally in the school. They grabbed their kids and then didn't do much more because they thought that the shooter was no longer a threat, and even though the kids were still calling 911 from their cell phones from within the school. The officers did nothing in between that time. This is actual and factual. This has been confirmed.
And Rebecca, I just found this out this morning that, if I'm not mistaken, the police chief called off that it was an active shooter, even though that they were kids still in the damn school calling 911 and saying, I'm in the classroom with victims. I'm in the classroom with 8 or 9 kids that's still alive. And you freaking called it off?
Yeah, this is true. They did. And so this is something that we have to... what's happening, there's a big deflect happening. Even now, during a lot of the conversations that are surrounding this, it's like... It's interesting to see how the NRA is trying to spin it, and Republican leaders are trying to protect the NRA and the rights for everyone to own guns. Here's the thing. Why are people... And this is because they have now been more lenient on the laws when it comes to gun control, especially in areas like Texas. Most recently, they removed the age limit for people to go and get guns. Nobody should be able to go get guns at an age younger than 21, but you can use... You can't drink, but you can go obtain an AK. But why? That's not wild to y'all? Kids that have, just because I'm having a bad day, people that don't like black people, and then these people that are getting these guns, they know what they're doing. These are copycats. This person has been online. The shooter from the elementary school has been online talking his talk about what's going to happen, having conversations. And this goes back to me saying, I don't understand why these pages and these people aren't flagged when brought to the attention of these social media pages and things like that, of those leaders. Because it's funny, we will talk about so much how, I got into an argument. I got to go back to this argument that I had about the RICO and how I was saying that white organizations are always online, literally telling you in plain sight what they're going to do. Not only white organizations, psychopaths. They're literally telling you what they're going to do. They're organizing online in hate group pages, and they are never flagged. There's nothing that goes on. There's no one that's associated within those pages. People that are associated within those pages should definitely be looked at, but they're not. They're not. We're looking at rap lyrics in RICO's cases, which may be okay. But also we need to look at, when these shootings go down, these pages that are created, the people that are on these pages saying similar things and what they want to plan out, these things are happening in these hate group pages, and we're still here. And then they want to be lenient on the laws. loose on these gun laws. They don't want to talk gun control. If we say gun control to people like Ted Cruz, we get a lot of pushback.
Yes.
So, talk about Ted Cruz, to veer over to that.
And real quick, before you get there, I just looked up the cost of those backpacks. So there are actually several websites that sell them, and they start at $119 per backpack. They start at $119. I've seen some on there that's over $300 and something.
That is wild, and I'll tell you why. Who, especially in them areas,
Rebecca,
are able to afford that? I'm not sending my kid to school. $119 or life. My child's life costs $119.
On top of already having to pay for transportation, doing everything else for clothes and all this other stuff.
My kid stays home. A lot of people are thinking about homeschooling.
Yep.
A lot of people can't homeschool, so they're trying to find schools where they know somebody, and they know somebody who can know somebody who's trained somebody who could stay at the front door, or that front door has security or whatever. Back in the day, when you had security at your front door, that means your school was hood. That means your school was hood because the kids were bringing in guns or knives or whatever, so they had to have a metal detector at the front door so people weren't getting sliced and diced. That means your school was that's what it meant. You just lived in an area that was a little rough. They're going in now. You're going into schools and all kinds of areas where kids are getting shot up and all this. Now it's like nobody. Ted Cruz put up a tweet and was saying something about the elite class are one of the ones who are dealing with this the most, or something he put up, because he's been saying a lot of trash things. So I wanted to. Amongst the trash things that he played before we play these videos, amongst the trash things that he said things that are like protect the people who are gun carriers and the NRA. And anytime he's asked a question, the questions always go to, well, basically, F them kids and F them people who are getting shot up. Guns rule. Like, it's just very immature wording. But let's take a look at one of the people who confronted him at a restaurant. I want to see this one. No. It's okay.
B1.
B1. Well, I was trying to follow the.
Why did you come here to the convention to take blood money? Why? When 19 children died, that's on your hands. That's on your hands. That's on your hands.
So one thing real quick. Good morning, everybody. I've been silent the whole stream. Been quiet the whole stream, but I just realized because I didn't open this yesterday, and one of our other great producers, Josh, edited this. I didn't realize that this is a short version of it. So for those that, I don't know if you saw it, Rebecca, I don't know if you saw it, James, but this guy, the parent is actually a member of an organization. I believe he was there specifically looking to question Ted Cruz, and he started by taking a picture with him and then started questioning him while putting his arm around Ted Cruz, like his hand around his shoulder. And then all of a sudden Ted Cruz became defensive and then waved goodbye as he got, carried away. Just want to give the context because that was not the full interaction.
Okay. Well, the one I wanted to actually play was the one of him with the reporter.
You said all that, but
that's not what you said, Rebecca.
Because I'm trying to follow what's on the sheet. It's so Monday morning for me.
That's B2. That's B2.
Yes. Can we play the one with the reporter? This is going to be the one with the reporter asking questions. And to Ted Cruz about why this only happens basically in America.
Is this the moment to reform gun laws?
It's easy to go to politics.
But it's important. It's at the heart of the issue.
I get that that's where the media likes to go.
No, it's not. It's where many of the people we've talked to here like to go.
The proposals from Democrats in the media, inevitably, when some violent psychopath, murders people.
A violent psychopath who's able to get a weapon so easily. 18-year-old with 2 AR-15s.
If you want to stop violent crime, the proposals the Democrats have, none of them would have stopped this.
But why does this only happen in your country? I really think that's what many people around the world they cannot fathom. Why only in America? Why is this American exceptionalism so awful?
You know, I'm sorry you think American exceptionalism is awful.
I think this aspect of it.
You got your political agenda.
No, it's honestly,
God love you.
Senator, it's not. I just want to understand why you do not think that guns are the problem.
Why is this just an American problem?
Well, it is just an American problem, sir.
Mr. Cruz, why is America the only country that faces this kind of mass shooting?
But you can't answer that. You can't answer that, can you, sir? You can't answer that. Why is this country?
Why is it that people come
I can't stand that man.
to America? Because it's the freest, most prosperous, safest country on
It
earth.
may be the freest. It may be the most
popular. Why are
popular.
our kids dying in school?
Yeah, so it does. It does.
Disgust my soul.
It rightfully angers us. It does. And when I watched it, I'm like, but the thing is, I'm not surprised because I remember the same energy when I was watching the other shootings that happened there. Not only the shootings, but when they had their storm that happened there, and how Ted Cruz talked about COVID. But let's go back to mass shooting. This I say that to say that this particular leader and his people and his fellow folks that are leaders in the area too, locally and on the state level, they're not. This is how they think about their constituents. This is how they think about you. And who they will protect are the people like the NRA, because the NRA makes money. If we move to sell these backpacks and then sell the idea that America is the greatest and this doesn't only happen in America, and just give you words that don't mean anything, when the simple fact that the reporter is saying, why does this only happen in America? A simple Google search, though, for people who didn't believe what this was, Google will show you how often this happens in America compared to third world countries. Compared to third world countries, the percentage is great. America is dangerous as hell. It's dangerous to go to school. It's dangerous to go to the store. It's dangerous because people can get their hands on these guns. I don't understand why he sits here and he can't really have that conversation or just listen and walk away. Because the responses from these leaders just show exactly why they should not be in these seats. They do not care about the constituents. They don't care about the people. They don't care about anybody but themselves making money. And that is it. They literally are finding a way to capitalize on this moment. And that's pushing the fact, let's go ahead and put to the forefront where they can find guns, where they can buy guns that are safe, where they can find backpacks that are safe. The communities are getting hit with this the most are the elite communities, and this is what they're doing in the time. The NRA conferences, people aren't allowed to bring guns there. Make it make sense. So you want to protect them, and they can't bring guns there. And it's really giving me, I get so angry, but I can't get that angry because this is going to happen again. And I say that to say that man on Instagram, on Twitter, if you go to Ted Cruz's Twitter and you put in anything shooting, or if you put in thoughts and prayers, this happened so much through the years, y'all. This has happened so much through the years. He has copied and pasted his thoughts and prayers post from every incident like this that has happened. He says him and his wife send their thoughts and prayers and then yada, 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 yada. If you go on Twitter and put Ted Cruz and put that line, it comes up so many times in so many different years, different months, because it happens all the time. And that's very telling. It's very, very telling. I sit here and I tried my best to have a really good weekend and not think about what has been going on and what country we live in. But it was really hard. It was really hard. Like I said, I live in a predominantly white area, and I didn't want to really travel into the city. I don't like going into the city when it's holidays. I don't like going into Atlanta when it's holidays. But I wanted to stay in the area and just kind of go locally. And then I had to tell my sister, like, you know, hey, let's not really go to this side of town or this side of town. She's like, well, girl, you live in that side of town. I'm like, well, let's just go where I know we can go and feel comfortable. These are things that we got to put in our mind. I know I do not want to be desensitized to what's going on. I just think I do not want to be desensitized to what's going on. Me taking a break and trying to live my life is not me being desensitized, but me wanting to move on and not talk about it anymore is me being desensitized. I mean, when I'm on here, when I'm in these spaces, we did need those breaks. That doesn't mean I was not going to come with the new developments on these stories. If we're going to talk about gun control, we need to talk about gun control. That is the fact of the matter. I don't know why people are afraid to have this conversation. The conversation is gun control, y'all. I don't care which side of it on you want. We need to start having that conversation. Not only start it, we need to keep it, and we need to start making some laws dedicated to it, where there's a specific age limit. People can't get it if there's no mental health checks.
The type of guns you're selling.
Why are kids walking around with AKs and just for free?
What do you need that type of weapon for in the public? Those weapons of mass destruction, when you're trying to mow down several people at a time, not even animals. You can't hunt with that. You're going to destroy and mutilate an animal if you hunt with that kind of weapon. What is it for?
I don't get it. I don't, like, you saying that, I really don't get it. They use that in war. They use that gun in war. So I don't understand why. I don't get how they think it's okay for kids to just get their hands on it and go around and then capitalize on things to protect our kids from those type of shooters, but will not do anything to really push laws to control for gun control, but will go out there and push how safe the NRA really is, and how safe these little areas really are, and what the real problem is, and then they'll go talk about immigration, because I don't know how that just the mass shooter just goes into the conversation about immigration, but they'll talk about how the border, the walls need to be put up, because that was the conversation too, and then they'll just say how keep our kids in school because it's really safe, and our teachers will protect your kids, and then these backpacks that cost $119 less than they pay the teachers, but get these backpacks and they will keep your kids safe, while the teachers who don't get no raises, who are scrambling on the ground for dollar bills to fund their classrooms to get the right supplies for these kids, will be the ones to take care of and protect your child. No raises though.
And the other part of that also, to tell y'all, those book bags don't block against rifle rounds.
Thank you for that. That's, and the NBC News came out with that story after the sales have gone up on the Bulletproof backpacks. They said those really don't protect they wouldn't protect your child from a mass shooting. They're not as effective as they are promoting them to be. Whoo, child. This is what we're talking about. This is what they're talking about on the internet, okay? This is what they're talking about on the internet when it comes to this. They're not saying, let's talk gun control. They're saying it's immigrants. It was a product of immigrants that did this, meaning that we need to put up the wall. It's not our fault that these kids in these certain areas can obtain guns, or you need to make sure that your kid is just knowing what to do when a mass shooter comes in the room. These are the conversations. These are what our leaders are talking about. These are what the people who got money and who just want to hold on to their guns are talking about. It's funny how when you want to be pro-gun, less control, that when it happens to you, all of a sudden you're shifty and you're on the right side of things. Don't wait until it happens to you. Don't wait until it happens to you. America is so unpredictable right now. We don't know. This thing is happening in churches. This thing is happening in apartment complexes. This thing is happening in housing areas, ones that are upscale. These things are happening in schools. And it doesn't matter what the school looks like. It could be the rich school and it could be the school in the little rural area. It does not matter. These cases are happening all over the place. You can go grocery shopping too. and some psychopath, and it doesn't have to be because you're black. Well, some psychopath can come in there and just start a shooting spree. This has happened like a few years ago at a grocery store, and they left dead bodies on the ground from the parking lot to inside of the store. Texas has had, since 2015, numerous mass shootings.
Yeah.
And that's their leaders. And I can't even be mad at that representation, because I know where I'm from in Florida, it looks the same. Because when it happened in Florida, it was the same conversations. They refuse to have that conversation. NRA comes out with the same damn information, with the same thoughts and prayers, and they say that let's not focus on that. They put that in their their commentary. They put that in their press release. Let's not focus basically on the guns, because the guns aren't what kill people. It's the person. The access to guns, guys. The free access to guns is what kills people. You know how it is, how easy it is for people who are underage to go get these guns. And then they can't drink, they can't drive, but they can get these guns. Somebody's having a bad day, somebody isn't feeling themselves, somebody's feeling like they hate their lives, they're going through a teenager crisis, they're going through whatever, but they can get a gun though and go shoot people up. Or these people who don't like people because of the color of their skin can create these hate groups online, playing out the whole massacre with people just adding their tidbits to it.
Yep.
And go out and then go and kill folks and then go plead insanity. That just happened.
And you know, Rebecca, tomorrow is the first day of Pride Month. And honestly, I'm a little scared for the month. You know, just because people are doing some real stupid shit these days. So now when you have a big ass celebration like this, especially a whole month of just for the LGBTQ plus TIA, whatever it is, community, my people, I mess it up every time. It's kind of scary to think about, especially because it's events everywhere. It's major events in major cities all over the place. And so it's just like, don't know what to expect, especially with everything that's going on now.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It's hard. And for me to think about people who do this, it happens in the workplace. I ain't mentioned that. Nobody is safe. It happens in the workplace as well. Whew, Lord. Now, I don't know really where to go from there to protect ourselves. I don't have really much to say because America's not protecting us. I don't really know what to give you guys because I don't know. I don't know. But I think that the conversation should be more surrounded around gun control, and we should focus on the lives that have been lost, because this wasn't just 10 months ago. This was just yesterday. I know it's easier to think that we should move on because that's what is normalized today in this country. Move on. Don't think about it. It happened and whatever. But when it happens near you, now we feel like we should be focusing on it. We should be rallying in the streets. We should be protesting about it. Yeah, let's not wait until it happens to us. Let's start making the conversation more fervent. Let's start, highlighting that there should be laws, harder, stricter laws around obtaining guns, especially in America. You got places like Australia who did away with guns and have not seen a massacre since, or any type of shooting incident since.
China. I think it's China's, their gun laws and the stuff that you have to do to get a gun in China. I'm just like, why have y'all not adopted this over here, where you have to go through background checks, mental health checks, doctor checks? You have to go through several checks before you're able to get a gun over there. And it works. Why is it so hard for us to adopt these types of things? Because what is it, Second Amendment, Fourth Amendment? It's a gun. You don't need this type of gun around here, man.
They live in areas they can't even afford to eat, and they worried about having guns, and it's terrible. And it's such the wild, wild west type of ideal to live in out here that even people who don't want guns carry guns. And now we're starting to see more children, because of people who want to keep themselves safe and protect their homes. We're seeing more children get access to where these guns are located. And we're finding children, utilizing it and accidentally shooting themselves or a parent or whatever, or going off. We're seeing more of those too, because we're trying to protect ourselves from the people who are out here with these damn rifles. And we're trying to protect our kids. It's a lot. It's a ricochet. But guys, let's try to keep the conversation surrounded and going, and not forget those people also that died at Tops Grocery Market. Those black people that died there, or the children that recently died. And I don't even want to forget, Sandy Hook's kids. I don't want to forget none of it.
None of them, right?
I don't want to forget none of them. Because this happened here. This happened here in America. And as long ago as Sandy Hook's was, this is exactly the same thing. And how the Republicans are trying to push it under the rug and give their thoughts and prayers, it's exactly the same thing. They don't want to discuss gun control. All right, so let's move towards one more story before we get out of here. You guys know how much I'm in love with Mama Anita Baker. I love her so much. I really do.
I wish we had that clip. You remember that clip when
of me and you when we first started? Yeah, that was those were simpler times. Very stressful, but simpler times. Very stressful, but simpler times. Anita Baker, we know, has since received the masters to her music, because she was telling us not to stream it because they owned it, and she wanted all rights to her music, and we know that. She's now doing her, what is it called? What they do when they are the in Vegas
tour?
Yeah, no, it's not the farewell tour. Now she's doing she got a what is it called? Residency. Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, they have a residency, and she has a residency in Vegas, and it's great because everybody's going out to see. I need to go out there and see her. But she, during one of her shows, she thanked Chance the Rapper. According to the Griot, at a recent performance, the legendary songstress, that's what they call me. That's my name on Instagram. But the legendary songstress Anita Baker shared that Chance the Rapper was instrumental in helping her regain hold of her master's records. Baker was embroiled in a long fight with her former label for control of the recordings and emerged victorious in 2021. After stepping out of retirement, Baker is now in Las Vegas for a limited show residency. If I continued to read, I would have got the word here too. With tickets already sold out. While on stage at the Venetian Theater on Sunday, May 29th, Baker took a moment during her set to point out the Chicago artist and publicly acknowledge his role in helping her. The rapper, whose real name is Chancellor Burnett, humbly stood and saluted the crowd before retaking his seat. The moment was caught on video and reshared by Chance's brother, Taylor. Chance displayed his excitement in the spontaneous moment. That's spontaneous for me. Let's take a listen to what she said to Chance.
Would you guys say hello to a friend of mine by way of the music industry and by way of helping me? Yes. Helping me to get a hold and ownership of my master recording.
Yes.
To be able to do that,
I love it.
It's such a beautiful thing. I mean, we're talking about Chance the Rapper, whole nother era, whole nother type of music, and we're talking about Anita Baker. I mean, the way that he made sure that she was taken care of, that he made sure that she got her masters. She couldn't do it alone. No matter how prominent she is in the music industry, she couldn't do it by herself. And we would have never thought, who would have been like, oh, Chance helped her. We would have never knew until she said that. Like, we would have never known. And that's a beautiful thing. I love that he was able to tap into his Music Connects or whatever he had to do to make sure that this legend remained legendary, that we were able to purchase her music, and that she got every dollar $1 due to her, and how she's doing her thing. What's so funny?
Dwayne said, "Why she up there looking like Rich James?"
Y'all ain't no good. See, this is what I'm trying to work. That's why I don't be in Slack. I'm trying to work. Don't disrespect my queen mother. Do not disrespect my queen mother. Don't do that.
See it.
You know what? Shouts out to the original songstress, Laura Estrada. I did receive my cocktail money. Thank you for the thank you for the don't play with my queen mother. Anyways, thank you for the Cash App. Thank you also Latif for the Cash App. It is Tuesday. I'm gonna go get me some tacos up the street. And I'm gonna get a cocktail, and I'm gonna relax my mind and chill and eat these. Hey, baby.
Oh.
Anyways, thank you guys for that, though. I really appreciate you guys. I missed you guys during the break. I ain't even gonna lie. I ain't even gonna hold you. I was trying my best not to hop on my camera, but let me tell you too, I would never be disloyal to y'all, because I'm gonna tell you what happened during that break. The Hill was like, Rebecca, you want to come on a few times this week? I was like, no. If I'm not going on to my show, I'm not going to go on to your show. That's just what it was. I made sure I was loyal.
Good job.
I made sure, because I love home, right? So I had to make sure if I'm going to take a break, I'm going to take a break. And if I'm not feeding, if I'm not pouring into the people on my show, y'all ain't going to find me this week or that week. But I'm back working, so I'm all over the place. And I'm also in the office now, y'all. So, that means that I won't be as much on this. Huh?
Are you here tomorrow?
Yeah. It's just, right now I'm trying to make it work as best as I can. And I know David has asked me for what it looks like with my schedule. I haven't been able to really hone in on what that may look like. So, because it's still all over the place. I'm trying to figure it all out. But every opportunity that I get, you guys, I will be right here with you. Right after this, I'll be at work. So every opportunity that I get with you guys, I'll be right here with you guys. So bear with me as we try to iron out these details. I may not be with you full for the weeks, but I'm going to figure it out. I'm trying my best. And, we're here. We're here. We're making it work. I love you guys so much. We're at the end of the show. I know we're ending a bit early, so your girl can get prepared for this work day.
Exactly.
I love you guys so much,
and don't worry, y'all. I'll be here, most times. I like it better when I have Rebecca being here, but Ben,
I don't know if Ben is showing up for us anymore, but we're going to show up. I don't know if Ben is showing up for us on this show anymore, but we're going to show up. That's one thing about it. So if you love us and you mean it and you want us to be free from our jobs, you know what to do. Our Cash Apps will be somewhere in the chat. But I love you guys so much. I hope that you enjoy the rest of your day. I hope that you feel free today. I was looking at some birds fly out my window. I'm like, dang, I wish I could be like a bird and just fly where I want to go. Oh. Like, you know what I'm saying? Not like a pigeon, but like a dove, but a dove is a pigeon. You know what I'm saying? Why is the dove called a pigeon when it's black, but a dove when it's white?
But it's white? Get the hell off the camera, man. I want to be a superhero so I can fly around everywhere and just fly like that. I'm good. Don't make me no bird.
I love y'all. Bye, y'all. Have a good day.
All right, y'all. Thank y'all so much for tuning in today. We have missed the hell out of y'all, and don't worry, we'll be here tomorrow bringing y'all the same damn thing, hopefully. So we'll see. Love y'all, mean it, man. Let me give y'all your affirmation for today. Your affirmation for today: it's only a thought, and a thought can be changed. It's only a thought, and a thought can be changed. Y'all gonna be great, man. Fellas, y'all go ahead and rock it. Hoochie Daddy Shorts. Ladies, y'all been rocking for the longest already, so it's okay. We just gonna join y'all. Love y'all, mean it. We will see y'all soon. To the house, then I hit him to the sky, change haters on the top.
I wanna live like I'm trying to enlighten. Trail spill from my lips, feel big from the bit. Take a sip till I pass out. Try and get grit, but it don't make sense. Cause you can lose life on this fast route. Yeah, turn thoughts to a cash cow. I might flip that to the glass house. I don't need the accolades, I'm in love with the chase. I just wanna eat, save a spot at the table. Beats with the slap, pin myself on the map. Blowing with the wind, but we knowing that it's cap. 5-hour flights, couple nights at